Good morning. I keep thinking that I'm not ready to start this video and putting it off a little bit longer because when I'm dealing with this subject, which is the same one I began yesterday, I feel some discomfort. I'm actually perspiring quite a bit, just going over in my mind in preparation for what I intend to share. The title today, of course, is Ninth Wave, as it always is every day, Sexual Preferences and Relationships. And it's a continuation, yes, of what we began yesterday when I talked about spirituality and sexual preferences. And I wrote my little blurb. Yesterday's video generated a lot of discussion and commentary ranging from morality to sadomasochism, the morality of sadomasochism to pedophilia and bestiality. There were even some hurt feelings in regard to what I consider sexually attractive in a woman. For me to openly express preferences makes me really vulnerable, since I know it often makes those unpreferred feel left out, and I am made the bad guy for judging. And as I said yesterday, sexuality for me is the most challenging aspect of my human experience. Indeed, it is. Sexual preferences are exactly that. They are personal opinions of what we find attractive and what we don't find attractive. I would venture to say that most human beings of both genders, in all age brackets, have generally relatively narrow range of what is preferred and not preferred. Most heterosexuals, for example, do not prefer those of the same sex, which automatically leaves out approximately 1/2 of the population. Within the heterosexual community, there are those that prefer younger to older, bulky bodies to slender bodies, racial preferences within the sexual orientation, often religious preferences within the sexual orientation. All of these are opinions and personal choices. It doesn't mean that those that are not chosen or not preferred are not attractive to someone. It just means they're not attractive to the individual making the choice. When people are wounded because someone else has a preference that does not include them, it's not about the person making the choice. It's about the person who feels left out. And that individual, he or she, has to deal with their own feelings of insecurity. I've had women that I was attracted to in my life that were not mutually attracted to me for several reasons. Often they remain unstated. But one woman, some years back, plainly told me, I could never have sex with you because you're too skinny. I like men that are bulky and have some meat on their bones, and you're too thin. I've gained some weight since that time, but not a lot. I don't know how that same woman might feel today with me having maybe 15 more pounds on my body than I had then. Maybe even 20 pounds. I don't remember exactly how much I weighed at that time. In any case, I had another woman tell me once, you're too good looking. I don't want to be with a guy that's good looking because it makes me feel insecure that I'm going to lose him to some other woman. So I would prefer a guy that I can feel secure with, who I know is less attracted or less attractive to other women. I've been, well, I don't really know that I've ever been rejected because I'm too old or too young. Well, yes, I do. When I was one of the first ladies, before I ever even had a sexual relationship with anyone in my life, I was attracted to a woman that was 2 years older than me. And I was a teenager at the time, and so was she. I think I was, well, no, she was 20 and I was 18, I think, at the time. I could have been 17 and she could have been 19. I really don't remember. But in any case, I asked her out, and she wouldn't go with me because I was too young. 17 and 18-year-old guys are pretty young. You know, even to date someone their own age, oftentimes. And I certainly had no sexual maturity and no sexual experience. I still lack sexual maturity sometimes, I think. But these are preferences. I want you to see that we're all on both ends of these choices that other people make. Sometimes we're attracted to someone that is simply not attracted to us. That doesn't make us bad or wrong or undesirable or not beautiful. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. Every one of us. We all have an inner beauty, and we all have things about our external form that is unique and beautiful to us. I mean, I know I'm not attracted, generally I'm not attracted sexually to heavy women. Period. I'm not. That's the way it is. My friends that know me the best know that. Some of my friends that know me the best are heavier set, and they would welcome a sexual relationship with me. I don't choose that. Does that make me an ogre because I prefer a more petite or a thinner woman? Does it make me a judgmental person because that's a preference of mine? That may hurt somebody that's not in my preferred zone. But it's the truth. It's my truth. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to sugarcoat it and make it so that, well, I can have sex with anybody. I can find attraction to everyone. No, I can't. I haven't experienced that yet. Maybe that's immature with me. That's part of this challenging aspect of my sexuality. In one sense, I'm pleased that I do have a narrow preference zone. It keeps me from being promiscuous, I suppose. And yet those that are promiscuous, are they bad? Is promiscuity a bad thing? Sometimes I have felt envious of those that are able to find sexual partners at any time they turn around. I remember a male friend of mine some years ago who used to get laid more than anybody I knew at the time, and he said to me, I just go up to women that I find attractive and I say, you want to fuck? And he says, I get slapped a lot, but I also get laid a lot. Because a lot of the women say, yes, sure. He says exactly what he wants. I've never had that much nerve. Never in my entire life have I been that upfront. I usually don't even approach a woman sexually unless she gives me, or I'm reading some indication that she's interested in me. If I don't see that, I don't approach the subject of sexuality. I'm very timid when it comes to even suggesting sexual relationships. And, speaking of relationships, I have women that I am attracted to that are available and willing to be in a sexual relationship. And I'm not. At this time, I don't think I'm willing to be in a sexual relationship with anybody, not till the 9th wave is over. That's where I am. That's sexual preference for me. I prefer to be able to have the freedom, to have the time to do what I feel is my spiritual calling, if you will, making these videos and doing the other spiritual service that I do. I will withdraw from someone that I don't feel is exactly in my world. It's not that their world is wrong. It's just not in alignment with where I am at this point of time in my life, even if I'm greatly attracted to them. And that's a real situation in my life right now. That's a real situation this year. It's not that I don't find her beautiful, because I do, in many ways. It's not that I think she's less spiritual than I am. That's not it at all. It's just that we're not on the same path, and I'm not ready to make that commitment of my time and my energy to go into the sexual arena. It's just the way it is. Now, so far as some of these more strange things, I am not an advocate of sadomasochism, because I think that's dealing with mixing sexuality and violence. And I'm not into violence. Sex and violence, to me, I know some people mix them, and that's your cup. If that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. It's not my preference. I somehow think that and for me, they should not ever be mixed. I don't want to be violent in a sexual experience with anyone. I don't find that. I find that very unattractive. As far as pedophilia, I think any adult that takes advantage of the innocence of a child it has some deep psychological issues that need to be healed. And as far as bestiality, the same thing. Mating with someone of a different, something that is a different species than we are, to me, it's not one of my preferences, and it's an aberration. Yes, that's a judgment on my part. I believe that sex between consenting adults, whatever you choose to do sexually or however you choose to love, that's your business. But I'm not, when I say that, I'm talking about between consenting adults. So that homosexuality, bisexuality, heterosexuality, none of these sexual actions are morally wrong. Do I think that some of these other things that I named, the pedophilia and bestiality and sadomasochism, are morally wrong? I don't really have a clear answer to that. I really don't. Each person is going to have to find that within themselves, because ultimately I do believe we are the ones that judge ourselves. And if we think it's wrong, then it's wrong for us, period. Until we can overcome that. I mean, for a long time, I felt it was wrong to masturbate or to look at a picture of a naked woman. I've gotten over that. I no longer think that's wrong. But sometimes the old guilt and the old shame still come up for me. Now I just laugh at it. It's still there. It's still present. These things are things that I deal with. And I'm trying to be as honest and as loving as I can by expressing my truth. And I don't want to be judged if you're outside of the bounds of what I'm attracted to. Because it has nothing to do with you personally. It has to do with my preferences. And you have your preferences. And I'm not going to judge you for you having your preferences. We're each entitled to our own preference. We're each entitled to seeing the world through our own eyes as suits us. I am all in favor of each of us being unique and individual, honest with ourselves, always in integrity to ourselves, authentic, genuine human beings. I'm all in favor of that for everyone. I give everyone that, and I expect to have that given back to me in return. I don't want to be judged, and I'm not judging others by saying I don't prefer this or that characteristic. I just simply don't prefer that in a sexual relationship. I don't find that to me, sexually attractive. That's all I'm saying. It's not to put somebody else down or to sit in judgment on them. Two different people commented on my comments about women that overeat being less attractive. Yes, to me that is true. Yet I have male friends that are only attracted to heavier women. That's their preference. They would not. I mean, I have one male friend that I see and talk to fairly regularly, and his preference is heavy women. That's what he likes. He would never be attracted to the same women that I'm attracted to because I like thinner women. It's just the way it is. And yet I have found, ironically, I have found myself on a couple of occasions strangely feeling a sexual attraction for someone that physically didn't fall into the category of thin. Just looking into her eyes, and I'm thinking of a specific individual, I was sexually aroused just through the eyes, even though the body type did not match my preference. Where's that coming from? I don't have all the answers, folks. If you're looking at me as the final answer for this issue, you're looking in the wrong place, because I'm admitting to you up front, I don't have the answers, and I'm encouraging you to be comfortable in your own skin and to be comfortable with making your own preferences and your own choices in life. And don't let others' opinions sway you from giving yourself the self-love you need so that you can create a healthy relationship. Because unless you're willing to love yourself, you're always going to have a distortion in your relationships. Love begins with me. Love your neighbor. Love begins with each of us. Love your neighbor as yourself is the truth of how it works. We always love the other, only insofar as we're willing to love ourselves. So I know this didn't answer every question, but I hope it answered many questions. And I see I went over, but I just couldn't stop because I couldn't leave things left unsaid like I did yesterday. So I bless you with these observations, and that's all they are. They're observations. They're my opinions. They are not the final word on the idea of sexual preference and relationships. By far, they are not the final word. Your word for you is the final word if you allow it to be. Namaste.